The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary,
and she conceived by the Holy Spirit.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Be it done to me according to your word.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen.
And the Word was made flesh,
and dwelt amongst us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God,
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Pour forth, we beseech you, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS, DXKS, 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda, 5,000 watts, nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, amid a looming food crisis with prices rising and supplies running thin, President-elect Bongbong Marcos says he will take the helm of the Agriculture Department. A warning from the Health Department: the National Capital Region and other parts of the country could be seeing what officials say is the beginning of a peak in COVID-19 cases. And days after announcing they are taking a break as a group, the anthology album of K-pop sensation BTS tops the Billboard 200 chart. Breaking news at this hour: President-elect Bongbong Marcos will take the helm of the Agriculture Department. Quote, at least for now. He made the announcement this afternoon in a briefing at his headquarters in Mandaluyong City. Marcos says, quote, we're going back to basics and we will rebuild the value chain of agriculture, unquote. He adds there are many priorities when it comes to agriculture, particularly increasing production. Our Rex Amici will join us later on in the program for more details. Now, moving on first, the day after her historic oath-taking as the country's next vice president, Sara Duterte thanked employees and constituents at the Davao City Hall for their support, especially when she decided to run for vice president. The outgoing Davao City mayor for the last time led the flag-raising ceremony earlier today at City Hall.
It has been an eventful 6 years. The city experienced both triumphs and tough times. And through it all, the local government never faltered. And this is all because of you and your hard work.
Sara Duterte still has scheduled meetings with department heads and other activities at City Hall this week. She will officially take office as vice president on June 30th, high noon. Duterte will be the third woman and the third Mindanaoan to sit in the country's second highest post. And just like her father, President Rodrigo Duterte, it appears she will fly back and forth from Manila to Davao City if necessary in the next 6 years.
depende sa kailangan at demands ng activities and ng trabaho. But yes, I will be living in Davao City but working in Metro Manila.
This weekend, the Vice President-elect, who will also serve as Education Secretary, will return to Manila to meet with outgoing DepEd Chief Leonor Briones. Now, as the nation witnessed Sara Duterte take her oath as the country's 15th Vice President on Sunday, she reiterated her election campaign for national unity. But her inaugural speech, which she said she wrote herself, also reflected some very personal issues, including her relationship with her father. That and other highlights from senior correspondent David Santos.
The voice of 32.2 million Filipinos was loud and clear. I am now the Vice President-elect.
Sara Duterte speaking after being sworn in 2 weeks earlier than President-elect and running mate Bongbong Marcos. Her parents, outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte and Elizabeth Zimmerman, standing witness as she has administered the oath of office.
My life is a testament to the power of a God.
She earlier attended Mass at the San Pedro Cathedral with husband Man Scarpio on her side. Her foray into politics, from Davao City Vice Mayor to becoming the nation's Vice President, she attributes to divine intervention.
There is a God whose will transcends the desires of our hearts, one whose will directs us to the way that we might not have imagined.
The father-daughter, having not spoken for almost a year now, shared a public hug, drawing cheers from the crowd.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who make sure that another person is given the best of everything.
She later spoke about the many complex issues children face today, including some that may be close to her own personal experience.
The trauma of broken families, the lifelong baggage because of irresponsible and bad parenting, the abandonment issues due to an absentee parent.
Before the inaugural events, she joined her immediate family for a pictorial. President Duterte and her elder brother, Paulo, were not present. Still, her inauguration was unlike any other. The ceremony was held amid a backdrop of a pandemic. There's also the high level of security, since this was the first time ever Mindanao hosted one of the nation's most traditional political events. About 600 VIPs attended the event, including national and local officials and members of the diplomatic community.
We know that she will bring her brand of leadership of Davao City to the country.
Kung di siya nagwinod, di sana presidente siya. Pero kumbaga, panahon.
Since the inauguration was merely ceremonial, Sara Duterte will not assume her new post until the end of the month. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Police are targeting to set up viewing sites for the inauguration of President-elect Bongbong Marcos on June 30. They're now coordinating with the Marcos camp on deploying large LED TV screens in venues such as the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. Other areas considered: the Philippine Sports Center in Pasig, the North Luzon Express Terminal in Bulacan, and the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay. The move is a bid to reduce the number of people expected to flock to the inauguration venue, the National Museum in Manila. More news. Authorities coordinating with officials in the U.S. city of Philadelphia following the death of a Filipino lawyer who was shot there. 35-year-old John Albert Lilo died after being in critical condition since he was shot in the head on Saturday. Philippine Consul General in New York, El Mercato, says Lilo and his mother were in an Uber ride to the airport during their vacation when 6 bullets were fired at the car. Authorities are still determining who the suspect is and the possible motive for the shooting. Lilo was supervising legislative lawyer in the Senate from 2016 to 2018 and served in the offices of former Senator Manuel Roas II and detained Senator Laila de Lima. During the May elections, Lilo, who was the official counsel of outgoing Vice President Leni Robredo, in the Board of Canvassers in the city of Makati. More stories when we come back. The President-elect says he will be heading the Agriculture Department. We have more about this development from Rex Media Live. And the Health Department reminds the public to keep their guards up as the rise in cases could mark the beginning of another COVID-19 surge. Stay tuned to Newsnight.
Exodo, Kabanata 18, versikulo 21. Ngunit pumili ka ng mga taong may kakayahan, may takot sa Diyos, mapagkakatiwalaan, at di masusuhulan. Gawin mo silang tagapangasiwa sa libo-libo, daan-daan, 5-50, at 10-10.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Let the madness begin.
The Zalora Big Fashion Sale is here. It's going to be big on fashion, bigger on discounts, with the biggest brands.
From the 17th to the 26th of June.
Download the app now.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy! With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Timplados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Anong Magnolia Chicken Timplados mo? Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
Making life sweet is easy dahil 35 pesos SRP lang ang San Miguel flavored beer. Make life sweet with San Miguel flavored beer.
Beyond bringing power to all, we're taking steps to produce and deliver Earth-friendly energy today and for our children's tomorrow. Powering the good life. Meralco.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. Breaking news at this hour. President-elect Bongbong Marcos announces he will take the helm of the Agriculture Department, at least for now. He recognizes the threat of a possible food shortage and higher food prices in the coming months. Our Rex Umita joins us live from the Marcos headquarters in Mandaluyong City. Rex, how does he plan to respond to these challenges?
Well, first, increasing agricultural production during the planting season in the coming months. He's hoping that more yield will translate into a lower food prices. Much more that, according to him, Vietnam and Thailand have already ended some of their exportation to the Philippines. We all understand that the Duterte administration and the Congress have passed the rice tariffication law in sometime during his administration, and that this will result into lower rice prices. And after the Congress has passed the rice tariffication law, which allowing more rice imports, we have seen relatively lower rice prices compared to the years prior. Although we have yet to know what are the measures that he will take to exactly boost production.
As to agriculture, I think that the problem is severe enough that I have decided to take on the portfolio of Secretary of Agriculture, at least for now. And at least until we can reorganize the Department of Agriculture in the way that it will make it ready for the next years to come.
Second, he also wants to restructure the Agriculture Department for the long term. He's seeking to remove the attached agencies that are no longer responsive to the needs of the sector. Marcos has yet to specify what are these agencies that he believes are no longer serving their purpose. Third, more assistance for those who will be affected by higher food and oil prices. The President-elect is not keen on suspending the excise tax on oil products. He explains he would rather give aid for those who will be affected by the spiking commodity prices. BBM would like to specifically help those who will be immediately affected by higher prices. Aside from giving more aid or ayuda, Marcos also wants to speed up the national ID program, which he says will be important to distribute aid to more beneficiaries. Pia.
Rex Remigio, they are reporting from the Marcos headquarters in Mandaluyong City. Well, when Sara Duterte assumes the vice presidency on June 30th, she will be dealing with issues hounding the education department, which she will lead. A day after her inauguration in Davao City, the vice president-elect speaks out about some of her priorities as education chief, including reiterating her support for mandatory military training. Our David Santos reports.
When VP-elect Sara Duterte takes over the education portfolio, among her top priorities, bring back full in-person learning when schools reopen in August.
We are targeting that, yes.
Over started holding face-to-face classes. In contrast, only about 1 in every 10 private schools have followed suit. Teachers groups have been urging the government to gradually scrap remote learning and let kids head back to classrooms.
Sa tingin namin, hindi na ito dapat i-delay. Ibalik na natin yung face-to-face classes. After all, halos lahat naman ay pinapayagan na natin. Bakit yung classes sa school ay hindi pa, no?
They also want the incoming education chief to look into the teachers' perennial problem, better pay.
The Duterte administration did something about that, no? So we'll dovetail from what the Duterte administration did for the welfare and benefit of teachers.
Another crucial issue Duterte will have to face calls to abolish the contentious K-12 program, something President-elect Bongbong Marcos has instructed her to review.
That is something na kailangan pag-usapan, na it cannot be decided overnight.
And despite initially getting mixed reactions on her support for mandatory military training in schools, Duterte seems to be standing her ground. This despite the fact that such a proposal will only cover students 18 and above, which is beyond the mandate of basic education. It could, however, be included among the legislative agenda of the incoming administration.
I hope that it will be included since marami namang pending bills dyan sa Congress with regard to that.
Duterte is set to hold a transition meeting with Secretary Liling Briones this weekend to extensively discuss the direction of the nation's education system. David Santos, CNN Philippines, Davao City.
The health department warns the country could be seeing the beginning of a peak in COVID-19 cases, particularly in Metro Manila. Spokesperson Maria Rosario Vergere says the current trend mirrors the increase during the Delta and Omicron waves. Vergere attributes the rising infections to the Omicron subvariants, increased mobility, and waning immunity from slow booster uptake.
We are looking at around 41 million individuals who have not received their boosters, and we know that the immunity is waning, so we need to have this demand from our countrymen. But I hope that a lot of people know there would be more demand for this, and they will not wait until cases are so high already that they receive their boosters by that time.
Health officials, however, have yet to approve a second booster for the general public, despite calls for additional protection against more infectious subvariants. The DOH is closely monitoring the cases in 7 regions now listed on your screens. Over 3,000 infections were reported nationwide from June 13th to the 19th. Daily average was at 436, 82% higher than the previous week. COVID-19 watchdog Octo Research expects new cases in the country to reach up to 1,000 by the end of the week, but the group believes there is no need to escalate to alert level 2 just yet. Overseas now, following the spread of COVID-19, North Korea is battling the outbreak of an unidentified intestinal disease. Leader Kim Jong-un and wife Ri Sol-ju have sent medicines to South Gyeonggi province to address the acute enteric epidemic. Medical responders also reportedly dispatched. Over 800 families were affected in the province south of the capital, Pyongyang. Welcome news for the United States, which is set to administer COVID-19 shots to younger children. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has given a go signal for the inoculation of children under 5 years old. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the expansion of the emergency permits of the Pfizer and Moderna doses on Friday. And back here at home, motorists may want to gas up now before pump prices go up again for the third straight week this month. Fuel companies will increase diesel prices by over 3 pesos beginning tomorrow, June 21st. Kerosene will be more expensive by nearly 2 pesos per liter and gasoline by 80 centavos per liter. Fuel prices in Metro Manila already range from 75 to 97 pesos. Nearly 400 Muslims looking to fulfill their highest duty to visit their holiest site were instead left stranded at the Manila International Airport on Sunday. Our Melissa Lopez talks to some of them in this report.
Aida Macod is supposed to be in Saudi Arabia by now, performing the sacred pilgrimage called the Hajj. She paid nearly 2 million pesos last month just to bring her family of 6 abroad. But after waiting over 8 hours in the Iya on June 19th, their plane left them behind as they did not receive the special visas to make the trip.
Makakaalis ba kami? Saan napunta yung pera namin? Mapabalik pa ba yung pera namin? Yung mga tao po, nag-iipon po yan ng pera. Nagbebenta ng mga ari-ariya nila, ng kabayo, ng kalabaw, ng lupa, magsasanla pa ng bahay nila para lang makapunta ng Saudi.
It's a must to visit Mecca at least once in a Muslim's life. For Aida, a businesswoman from Marawi, it's already her 17th trip there and her first since the COVID-19 pandemic. But she's now grieving.
Yun ang pangarap ng bawat Muslim. Pag nag-Hajj po ma'am yung isang Muslim, maghihingi po sila ng repentance from God, from Allah, na kung totoo po sa puso nila, mapo-forgive po sila.
Macod luckily has a home in Manila. Those who don't took shelter at the Golden Mosque in Quiapo. The National Commission on Muslim Filipinos pins the blame for the chaos on a third-party service provider.
Pagdating ho sa financial, wala hong problema. Nabayaran ho natin lahat ang nila, ang mga dapat na bayaran, yung visa, yung tent, yung nila sa tinatawag na Mina Arapa, yung insurance. Ang nagkaroon lang talaga ng problema, yung dapat na counterpart ni hotel, yung service provider, hindi nila na-remit kasi hindi tinatanggap ng system doon. Kasi may bago ng sistema ngayon ang Saudi.
Authorities say the visas will be sorted out and the pilgrims left behind will be prioritized.
Ito ay isolated case na dahil doon sa hindi natin na-anticipate yung bagong kalakaran. Magbibigay ang National Commission on Muslim Filipinos ng assistance. We will shoulder their hotels as well as their meals while they are on stranded or while they are not yet deployed for departure. Maghingi ng special flight for these people. Hindi lang doon, humingi kami ng ma-whip yung mga penalties na ipinapataw ng mga airline companies.
The Muslim faithful are kept hanging as the end of Hajj season draws closer.
Ang pinakagusto namin, makalis kami ng maga. One prayer doon is equivalent to 70,000 virtues dito. Kaya sinasamantala ng
Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
Entertainment updates still ahead. K-pop fans, are you ready to find your treasure here in Manila? 3 Korean acts will perform for Pinoy audiences next month. Plus, we'll give you a look at BTS's special music video for Yet to Come. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
Sa dami ng taong nakalipas, salamat dahil hindi niyo kami iniwan. Dahil sa inyong tulong, mas naging maayos ang akala namin nakalimutan na. Basta't nariyan kayo, alam naming hindi mapapabayaan ang aming paghihirap para sa sarili, sa pamilya, sa kapwa, at sa bansa. Kampante kami, basta't kasama kayo.
Let the madness begin.
This Laura Big Fashion Sale is here. It's going to be big on fashion, bigger on discounts, with the biggest brands.
From the 17th to the 26th of June.
Download the app now.
Now it's time to live the life. Let's have Sun make life with the sun out. Any hour is now happy hour. Ang katapusan ng bawat kwento, may inuumpisa ang bago. Get into the life.
Sun make light.
Yung smart home, yun yung kino-combine natin, yung energy technology sa information communication technology. So, nandiyan yung strategiya nating energy efficiency plus renewable energy plus ICT.
When you talk of energy efficiency, it doesn't only talk of electricity per se. Pwede rin natin i-consider dyan yung mga consumption ng mga fuel natin.
It is really important not just for people to know about the importance of saving energy, but to really adopt energy efficiency as a way of life, because our sources of energy are also dwindling. So it's really important for everyone to not just be aware of its importance, but to really practice energy efficiency and really make it as part of their life.
This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. Sports stories now. A back-to-back crown for the country in the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Southeast Asia Cup, with RSG Philippines sweeping the Indonesian team RQ Hoshi 4-0 in the finals in Malaysia. Eman Sangko of RSG was judged most valuable player of the tournament. And a runner-up finish for Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala at the women's singles finals of the W60 Madrid meet in Spain on Sunday. Hometown bet Marina Basol's Ribera took the title, defeating the 70-year-old in straight sets 4-6, 5-7. Collegiate volleyball here in Manila, the undefeated NU Lady Bulldogs took Game 1 of the UAAP Finals, beating the De La Salle Lady Spikers in 3 sets. NU is now 1 win away from the title. Find out if the team completes a historic sweep of the tournament with Game 2 tomorrow at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. In K-pop, this one's for fans of boy group Treasure and GOT7's Jackson Wang and Bam Bam. These artists are performing on one stage this July 29th at the Mo Arena. Tickets for 2022 K-pop Masters in Manila go on sale next Sunday, June 26th. Treasure is known for tracks like Boy and I Love You. And BTS armies who enjoyed the song Yet to Come, The Most Beautiful Moment, have an adorable new music video to watch. The K-pop sensation released another video for the lead single off their new album, Proof. This version features the members as animated characters to promote their new game, BTS Island, in the song. Proof has also become BTS's 6th album to top the Billboard 200 chart. The anthology debuted at #1 after selling 300,014 album units in the U.S. by June 16. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Before we go, progress underway for the infrastructure sector after road projects took a back seat because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's watch this.
The pandemic has been a flickering traffic light in the economy. Road projects had to take a back seat to curb the consequences of the health crisis. But now that infrastructure gaps are ready to be filled, Driving forward on the road to progress is now green and go. For 2 years, mobility has been put to a halt due to the pandemic, sidelining the incumbent administration's ambitious Build, Build, Build program for some time. But as restrictions have eased, both the government and private sectors are circling back to the much-needed infrastructure development in the country.
When the pandemic hit us, we lost trillions of pesos in our economy. When the lockdown was implemented, the economy almost totally shut down. And then came the third or the fourth quarter of 2020. That is when construction started to pick up. I think it was very important on the part of the private sector to pick up immediately. That was a major contribution of the private sector, in particular the continuing construction of the Skyway. They were able to finish and keep many of these workers on the job. So as far as the economy is concerned, the private sector doing infrastructure projects contributed significantly to the economy at the time. For us to be able to move forward, infrastructure development should be a focus of any economic development program in the country in the next few years.
COVID was very unknown to us. Naapektuhan na mabuti, siyempre, ang mga negosyo dito sa Laia. 2 years siyang tumagal na walang negosyo and everything. But they opened for 2 months noong 2020. Ang daming dumating agad na tao. Even the travel time has been cut short because of the roads that they built. As a matter of fact, before, yung pagparito lang, it will take us 6-7 hours. Ngayon, isipin mo, 3 hours nandito ka na. This is what is bringing more people to Laia. The convenience of traveling time and experiencing the beach.
San Miguel's decision to go into infrastructure development was part of its major diversification program in the late 2000s. To unlock the true economic potential of our country and enable more Filipinos to prosper, we needed to address the barriers to growth. Among them was the lack of infrastructure. The objective is to improve transportation, mobility, and accessibility in our cities by seamlessly connecting or linking up all our road and rail networks, airports, and seaports. With this, we can decongest Metro Manila, accelerate and make more efficient the transportation of people and goods, improve access between cities and provinces, develop new economic growth centers, boost our local industries, enable tourism, create more jobs and business and livelihood opportunities, and allow everyone to have a better quality of life.
Kini ang sibianan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsibya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Have you ever just woken up one day with a swollen toe, finger, knee, or even elbow? Chances are you might have gout, a common type of inflammatory arthritis. Gout is common in the Philippines. In fact, according to the Philippine Rheumatology Association, gout affects more than 1.6 million Filipinos. But what exactly triggers it? On the program today, we'll debunk some of its myths about gout, its difference from pseudo-gout, its symptoms, as well as its treatment and prevention. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. To help us through this topic on gout, with us is Dr. Givenchy Marie Garcia Bonifacio. She's a rheumatologist from the Medical City. We also have Dr. Dave De Castro, who is a physical and rehabilitation medicine specialist from the Bernardino General Hospital. Gout is a oftentimes painful and acute onset of arthritis caused by the buildup of uric acid, or a normal waste product in your body, in the blood. So when uric acid is elevated in the blood, it can accumulate, form crystals in your joints, and trigger an inflammatory response that causes symptoms of pain as well as swelling. Let's debunk some of the myths about gout. So that's where we'll start. And I'll start the conversation with Dr. G. So a lot of people talk about gout and they look at diet specifically. Gout is caused by kinakain mo. Kinakain mong beans, munggo, maybe yung beer na iniinom. But let's talk about first what causes gout. Let's talk about hyperuricemia for that matter. Can you talk about that, Dr. G?
Gout actually happens because of the uric acid accumulation, like you've mentioned. Certain people that are genetically predisposed to having gout, the diet also contributes to it. If you binge drink, especially beer, and if you eat purine high foods like red meat, you can be predisposed to having gout also.
So Dr. Dave, I'd like to ask you, let's talk about that. Let's talk about uric acid. Ano ba ito sa katawan natin, and why does gout happen kapag hindi natin ito na ilalabas ng mahusay?
Uric acid is a waste product of our protein metabolism. So when a patient is eating too much protein, the protein breaks down, and usually the uric acid is excreted in the urine. If the patient is unable to excrete the uric acid in your body, they usually deposit, the uric acid crystals deposit on the joints, mostly on the big toe. That's the most common area of gouty attack, sometimes the ankles, the knees, in severe cases, the elbows and the hands. It's because the patient, most of the time, they are overproducers, or they consume protein, so the body isn't able to get rid of the uric acid.
Now, Dr. Dave, you make a point there. It's the excess intake of protein, for that matter. That's why a lot of people may think that those who are affected with gout are those who are only overweight, yung matagal ng mabigat. Hindi ba pwede magkaroon ng gout ang isang payat?
Gout is a chronic disease. Most of the time, it's genetically acquired. Mm-hmm. But then, most of my patients, almost 9 out of 10 of my patients, they are mostly overweight because they consume too much protein. There's also the lamang loob, the isaw, and the papaitan and all, and they drink lots of beer and alcohol. So most of the time, I think in my practice, 90% of my time, they are overweight and mostly obese.
Now let's talk about consuming certain things. Specifically, a lot of people know or are aware that consuming beans, for that matter, can trigger gout. Doc G, pag-usapan natin, sinabi nyo kanina, binge drinkers. Paano nagkakaroon ng gout ang mga mahilig uminom ng alcohol?
Alcohol, specifically beer, has a high uric acid content. And Doc Freddy, if you drink alcohol, you can also notice that while you're drinking, you urinate a lot. So there are two things that can cause the flares. So an increase in uric acid and decrease in the fluid can make the uric acid crystallize. That's why they have gout flares.
Now, Doc G, kapag ang isang tao ay mataas ang uric acid nila, nagpa-blood test sila, although wala silang nararamdaman na pain sa joints, wala silang nararamdaman na masakit sa katawan, are these people considered to already have gout?
Not yet. They are only considered to have hyperuricemia. You are considered to have gout if you already have arthritis. Arthritis is swelling of the joints, so it has redness, tenderness, and pain. And it usually occurs in the big toe, as what Doc Dave said. It can also happen in other joints, but it is usually on the big toe on the first attack. It is also called as podagra.
Dr. Dave, aside from alcohol, specifically beer, aside from the high purine foods, are there any other things that people consume that are contributory to triggering a gouty attack?
People consuming maintenance medications for hypertension, like the diuretics, people who are dehydrated and not used to drinking lots of water, sometimes they had this gouty attack because they cannot get rid of the uric acid in the urine. So most of the time, it's a multifactorial disease. There's diet, there's the dehydration, and sometimes I see patients with high-impact activities like basketball or jumping. Then when they had this trauma on the foot, sometimes they had this gouty attack because most of them it's either overweight or they have constant trauma to the feet or the knees, because the uric acid loves inflammation. So they tend to see that there's an inflamed area, so they will go there and have an inflammation. So there are many factors involved.
Can one of the factors, Dr. Dave, be sugar? Can people who are fond of sugar increase their uric acid?
Yes, of course. That's the fructose-containing substances like soft drinks, the soda, the fruit juices. Usually they contain fructose, which when you metabolize fructose, and it will convert into uric acid.
Now, gout flares start suddenly and can last days or even weeks. When we return, we'll talk about another type of arthritis, which is pseudo-gout, and its difference from common gout. This is MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan og kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao no transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at bang sa Unicity.
GSM Blue ang kasama.
Drink responsibly. Ang Gen Pomelo, kuhang-kuha ng GSM Blue. Choose what's true and just chill and enjoy with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos, ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton Paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
Sipon plus baradong ilong na may kasamang pananakit ng ulo? Pre, ba't ka nagtitiis? Kung meron naman Kalabo Premium Rub, Kalabo Premium Rub, isang pahid lang, nanunuot ang sarap sa pakiramdam sa ulo, ilong at sarap sa may ginhawa. Tandaan, basta sipon na may kasamang sakit ng ulo at baradong ilong, magpahid lang ng Kalabo Premium Rub. Mabisa, kaya sigurado. Gawa ng Jesser Marketing. Mabibili na ngayon sa mga butika. Ang kapingot sa ilong nga imong giantos, hasol kaayo kini, hilabi na kung apilan ng pagsipon nga lisod tang tangon. Sulay higala ang gahom sa Kalabo Premium Rub. Ipahid palibot sa imong ilong. Aron ang gahom sa Kalabo Extract inumanan sa malunggay and virgin coconut oil manuhot-suhot kini. Kalabo Premium Rub, ang sulbad sa pingot nga ilong. Kalabo Premium Rub is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome back to Med Talk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. Now let's talk about a form of gout which is called pseudo-gout. Dr. G, for those who are unfamiliar with pseudo-gout, please tell us what it is, where does it happen mostly?
Pseudo-gout is a kind of arthritis that usually happens in patients who are 60 and above. And in contrast to gout, it usually occurs on the knee first and it lasts longer. And the difference will usually be seen under the microscope. The type of crystal that causes the gout is calcium pyrophosphate.
With that, Dr. Dave, pag-usapan naman natin is what happens is, or what causes the most symptoms is the accumulation of these gouty crystals, these uric acid crystals in the joints. You mentioned earlier that the most common part that starts with this is the big toe, but it can also be felt in other joints as well. Let's talk about that. When will the crystals normally form, causing the more painful symptoms? Is this something that is reversible?
The symptoms usually is the patient usually comes in. There's a history of too much intake of alcohol. Then alcohol contains uric acid. The patient will complain of swollen foot. That the uric acid likes to stay on small joints, so that's why it's in the big foot. And they also like to stay on colder places because the big foot or the big toe, it's usually colder because the circulation is the farthest from the heart. So the uric acid likes colder places. So they crystallize, then causing the swelling. The crystals, they are usually reversible if the patient is maintained on proper diet and maintenance medications to decrease blood uric acid levels. So it can be reversed.
Kapag umabot na sa punto where we have tophaceous gout, meron na tayong mga bukol sa iba't ibang portions because of the uric acid crystals, when does it happen, Dr. G? At what point is this something that can be prevented? When it does happen, what is the usual management?
So as you've said, there are stages of gout. So first, it starts with hyperuricemia. So usually, this takes 10 years for you to develop gouty arthritis. And then when you have gouty arthritis, if you still haven't controlled your uric acid levels, the uric acid will continue to accumulate on the joints, which will cause tophaceous gout or tophi.
Dr. G, you mentioned stages of gout. Technically, there are around 4 stages of gout. At what point if someone has high uric acid in their blood, is this immediately, dapat ba gamot na kagad ang ibigay ito sa pasyente? At what point ang pwede pang diet and lifestyle modifications to alleviate any possibility of gout progressing?
Yes. In practice, if ever your uric acid becomes double digits, like 10 or 11, so that's when we already start medication. But if it's lower than that, diet can be tried first and also weight loss.
Now, Dr. Dave, typically, for the most part, ang gout is managed through medicine. Kayang idaan sa gamot most of the time. Meron bang punto na kailangan surgical intervention for some of the symptoms or treatment ng gout?
There are severe cases that the tophi or the nodules gets infected. So that's the most common indication for surgery. There's an infection on the joint. You remove the tophi or the infection. The other indication for surgery, it impedes function. So I'm a rehab specialist. When I see my patients who have this large tophi on the hands and on the elbows, which decreases the range of movement of the patient, I usually advise the patient to undergo surgery.
For those who are suffering from gout, could you describe what type of physical limitations they may have? Can they still do their daily, day-to-day activities or very limited sila because of this? We're trying to emphasize how important it is to prevent this from happening.
They can still have regular activities. We actually have athletes or basketball players who have gout. As long as we control the uric acid levels, they can live a normal life.
Now, Dr. G, pag-usapan natin yung common gamot para sa isang taong meron gout. So, a lot of people may be familiar with the medications being given. Please explain how the different medications function. At what stage of gout are they most effective?
The first one, the overproduction, that's the drugs that we have here in the Philippines. And I know everybody knows this, allopurinol. It blocks the formation of uric acid. So it lowers the uric acid that is produced. That's why the uric acid level is controlled.
Coming up, we'll talk about tips on how to treat and manage your gout. Only here on MedTalk Health Talk.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bestidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa dalan Kaymo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani ug tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukion ta sa kanunay.
GSM Blue ang kasama. Drink responsibly. Ang Gen Pomelo, kuhang-kuha ng GSM Blue. Choose what's true and just chill and enjoy with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Uy, day! Naunsa man ka, day?
Day, kanang glisod ang mga kita, day. Uy!
Sus, naunsa ba ka? Uy nga, katong niaging bulan. Okay pa man ka. Naunsa day karon?
Laot siguro ni sisingunit aning cellphone kanang si computer, day.
Da, mo lagi na akong ingon ba? Uy, day, nakoy balita para sa imuha. Gamit og Lutein Plus, uy.
Lutein Plus?
Oo, tungod ang Lutein Plus, day, duna kini 13 ka ingredients. Hindi lang kini para sa mata, kundi sa imuhang tibuok lawas. Nga maka-assist pod sa imuhang anxiety ug depression.
Ang Lutein Plus o sa ka-award-winning brand nga gikan pa sa New Zealand.
The award-winning supplements from Clean Green, New Zealand Omega Plus ang support sa heart and blood system. Ang Lutein Plus ay 13 ka mga ingredients, lakip ng vitamins A and C. Dili lamang kung maradyaw sa itong pananaw, nagsuporta sa bini sa ato intirulawas ning panahon nga jari kita kuman sa COVID-19 pandemic. Kinahanglan magpabilin kitang himsog inom sa Lutein Plus, Omega Plus and Primrose Plus of Gel. Inintanan available sa New Family Drug, Palma Drug sa Aquarian Pharmacy.
Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Maayo kini alang sa mga naganto sa high blood. Kung perming kasakit ang imong tangkugo, kung masobraan ka og kaon sa mga lami ang pagkaon, basig ning tukar na ang imong high blood. Pagtumar higala og kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Usa ka capsule bago mo gaon aron siguradong protektado kang kanunay. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Masaligan og siguradong epektibo batok sa high blood. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. So now let's continue to talk about the treatments for gout, or how to manage if you're diagnosed with gout. Dr. Dave, can you please share with us the common treatments for gout?
With gouty patients, follow-up is very important in order to monitor the blood uric acid levels in the blood. Most of the time, patient would self-medicate with anti-inflammatory drugs. Then they usually, you see them with kidney disease or the liver, so enzymes are increased. So follow-up is important to prevent exacerbation or the attacks of acute gout. Then you need to tell them to regularly check their blood chemistry, to check the liver enzymes, especially because allopurinol is not good for the liver. So you need to check them at least every 3 months to check the joints, to check the blood chemistry, and so you can titrate or you can adjust the dose of the medications.
Are there any new studies when it comes to the treatment of gout, the management of gout, and how to manage the arthritis symptoms for that matter?
There are currently nothing new, but it's important to reiterate to patients that they have to do regular follow-ups, because they have to work closely with their physician to fight off this gout and to control it. So like Doc Dave said, there are certain medications that you give for the attack. And then there's also something you give for prophylaxis so that you won't have recurrent gouty attacks. And there's something that you give to lower the uric acid level. So for the attacks, the acute attacks, you usually give this NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And for prophylaxis, we usually give colchicine. And then to lower the uric acid, usually we give allopurinol and febuxostat if they're allergic to allopurinol.
Is there any advice that you could give, Dr. G, to those who are diagnosed with gout, some of the more low-cost ways in order for their quality of life to be improved?
We can also do exercise to have weight loss, because weight loss also helps in the decrease of the uric acid levels. The available drugs, the allopurinol, is actually already cheap. That's what we give so that they can sustain it.
Before we go, Dr. Dave, do you have any final tips for our viewers, especially when it comes to lifestyle modifications?
That you need to have a healthy lifestyle, and you need to maintain it. You need to exercise, at least focus on the low impact exercises. You need to enjoy life because Filipinos, we love eating. So you should have a list of foods that you need to avoid in order to avoid the acute gout. Also, you need to hydrate properly. Avoid those soda, those sweetened drinks that can cause knee pain. And you need to follow up regularly, not just because you have the acute gout attack, you go to the doctor. You need to follow up regularly kahit walang pamamaga or walang nararamdaman. So you can monitor your blood chemistry, including the blood uric acid levels.
Thank you, Dr. Givenchy Marie Garcia Bonifacio and Dr. Dave De Castro, for being with us today and sharing your tips and expertise about gout. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk. We'll see you again next time.